God damn it.
Okay, attitude, roll 25.10, pitch 64.18, yaw 10.28, rate.
What's up everybody, Three Bones here. We're going to do today the most basic of motorcycle maintenance, an oil change. For you experienced garage wrenches, you can disregard this. It's just like any other oil change on any other vehicle you've had. But for you newbies who've never worked on your own machine before, I'm going to show you how to do this. This is something every owner should know how to do. Change your oil regularly. Make sure your engine stays at a proper temperature. It helps keep the engine cool. Keeps all the critical components lubricated so they don't jam up and lock up on you on the highway and kill you. And it's just good procedure to make sure your machine runs for its entire designed life. So to do an oil change, you just need a few basic things. One, you need a pan or a bucket or something to collect all the oil. You need a funnel to pour the new oil in. You need rags because it's going to make a mess. And I put a big blanket underneath here that I use for oil changes to collect any of the oil that drips, to try and keep the mess to a minimum. And of course, you need an oil and an oil filter. I use AMSOIL. It's one of the best synthetics you can get. It is a bit pricey, as you can see. I also use Mobil 1, which is another good one. It's a little less expensive, but I think AMSOIL is a little bit better, at least in my opinion. But you know, with oils, you can go on and debate that forever and ever. Search the internet, there's tons of debates about it. I like AMSOIL. The Z1000 takes 4 quarts when you change the oil filter, so I got 4 quarts here. Usually I like to have a 5th quart just in case there's spillage or something like that. I neglected to get the 5th quart this time, just forgot. So just a good practice to have. Also, I got an oil filter. K&N is my preferred, and for one very important reason, because I don't think it filters any better than any other filter, but it's got that. This makes a world of a difference. When the service manual specifically says hand tightening isn't enough, you need a little bit more torque on it. This makes getting them on and off really easy. And 17mm wrench. I use one that's got a ratchet end. You can use a socket. That's what I used for the longest time before I got a set of these, and it works just as well. So let's get to it. Okay, the first step in this process is, if the bike has been sitting and it's cold, which mine is, it hasn't been run today, you want to warm it up so that the heat will thin the oil and make it much easier, much faster for it to come out of the crankcase when you open it up. So step one, start your bike and warm it up. Okay, now that the engine's been thoroughly warmed, or at least warmed enough that I feel like it's done its job, our next step is to open the crankcase. It's where you're going to be filling your oil. Make sure that the rubber gasket is there and in good shape. Place that aside. And then we'll get ready to dump the oil. This is our oil drain plug. But you just use the wrench and move this out of the way to loosen it. Just like that, it comes loose. I keep pushing inward. Now that it's loose, I push inward and pull out. Boom. This is why I don't let the oil get too hot, because see, my hand is covered in oil. And then you let it drain. You want to make sure that this washer is still there, and you got it. It helps keep a seal when you put it back in. And now you just wait and let it drain. Alright, I've repositioned the camera. As you can see, here's the K&N filter. I've already loosened it with the wrench, and I'm just going to twist it off. And just dump the oil out into the pan. Let it drain as well. Once everything's stopped dripping, you resecure the screws in the bottom. So we'll give that a few more minutes. I'll come back. Okay, while I'm waiting for the remainder of the oil to drain out, I've thrown away the old oil filter, and here's the new filter. Took the plastic off. Now we're going to prep this thing for when it goes into the motor. And to do that, you want it to have some oil in it so that when the engine primes, it doesn't have to have those seconds without oil in the oil filter. So one of the things you want to do, first of all, is dip your hand in the new oil, and you want to coat the rubber ring. This ensures that it stays soft. It makes a good contact with the receiver on the motorcycle, and the ring doesn't dry out with engine heat and all that stuff. So you lubricate it up, re-wet the rubber, keeps it nice and soft for a good seal. Then I like to take a little bit of oil and pour it into the filter. This way, when we start the engine, you don't have that delay from oil going from the crank into the filter and from the filter into the engine. You got a little bit right from the beginning to assist with starting. So you don't have to fill it up all the way, because you do got to tilt it on its side. So you want to just put a little bit in. I put it to like here, just so there's a little bit of something in the engine at startup when it's dry. It doesn't reduce the amount of time you have zero oil to the engine. So now this filter is prepped and ready to be inserted on the bike. Now we'll take the new oil filter, place it on the receiver, and screw it in. Get it in there as tight as you can get it by hand. Then tighten it with the wrench. And that's it. Now once you've finished collecting all your oil, you need to dispose of it properly. EPA requirements, you need to put it into a dumping station. For me to transport it to the dumping station, I need a specialized container, which is that black container you see right there with this funnel on top. And simply pour the oil into the funnel so you can dispose of your oil properly and safely. Take it to any automotive store that sells oil. They usually have collection services. If you don't have that, sometimes your county or state agencies collect it. You can check online for further details, but most places like Pep Boys and Strauss and Advance Auto, AutoZone, things like that, they collect oil. And now for your last step, pour the fresh oil with the funnel into the crankcase. All the oil's in. Take a little oil off the inside of one of these things. Lubricate the O-ring so it stays nice and fresh. Put it back on. Tighten it up. And your final step is to start the bike and make sure you don't get a oil pressure warning. See, right now it's showing oil pressure warning. Let's see. And it's off. Give the bike time to fill the oil filter before checking the oil level. And they're going to wait a few minutes, let it settle back down, that the oil filter is full. Check for leaks. No leak. Then you'll check the oil filter. You'll check the oil level by standing the bike on its side, so it's level, and looking in the sight glass for oil. Oh, but I gotta give it more time to filter down. Anyway, I hope this has been educational and helpful. Remember to recycle your oil, so you don't just dump it out into nature. Handle it responsibly. And as you can see, the doing an oil change is no big deal. It's rather easy. Save yourself some money. Do it yourself, and ensure that the oil change intervals are met. One of the single best things an owner can do to keep their bike running top notch. Nothing's worse than someone who doesn't change their oil ever. Anyway, Catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. 3 Bones signing off.